But I think, there's another good guys. I think my jiu-jitsu works well for MMA. That's it.
Yeah, I think what I was saying basically is that, the gap between maybe you and the rest of the field is kind of Royce Gracie-like, because Royce back in the day, no one knew what the hell they were doing in defending against Royce. And right now you're confusing a lot of people, so you're doing a good job. Yeah,
thank you. Yeah, no, I understand. But the problem is, I think that people know what I'm doing now, but they just... most of the people, they cannot defend because I work a lot in all the technique and the details to make harder for the people defend. So the thing nowadays, they know what I do. In this time, the Royce's time, they didn't know, what he was doing. Now they know what I'm doing, but they don't know how to defend.
Yeah, well, ask UFC to burn the videotapes so they can't watch you, right?
Yeah.
All right, Damian, we will see you maybe when you're back in Vegas before your next fight. Congrats. Go get something to eat.
Thank you very much. I will.
There you go. Damian Maia joining us from London. UFC 95 winner. Very impressive. Takes out Chael Sonnen with an odd takedown. Kind of pulled guard. Tossed him over his head, basically. Fell right into mount. Then gets the triangle. Finishes the fight. And a lot of people walked away very impressed. 5 straight submissions now in the UFC for Damian Maia. And the question is out there. Is he the next guy after Thales Leites to face Anderson Silva? Ariel Helwani is back with us in New York. Ariel, well, first of all, I thought it was interesting in talking to Damian, and he may be buddies and not the most objective guy on Thales Leites, but there's kind of a buzz that Damian had there that it's starting to develop out there that, hey, if it gets to the ground, you never know with Thales Leites against Anderson Silva.
Yeah, I think it's something that's developed where you just kind of automatically equate the Brazilians with being great at jiu-jitsu, and you have to remind yourself that Anderson's background is more in the Muay Thai category, and he's actually fought some great Brazilian jiu-jitsu specialists. I mean, Travis Lutter, although it wasn't for the title, and there was the whole debacle going into that fight due to him not making weight, I mean, he was pretty solid on the ground against Anderson, and some people even gave him that first round. So, Anderson has fought some great Brazilian jiu-jitsu fighters. Dan is not bad himself. I mean, he's more of a wrestler, but he is great on the ground, and he's looked pretty weak. Now here he comes fighting Thales Leites, who's very strong on the ground. It's going to be interesting. Don't get me wrong. Anderson is the favorite going into UFC 97, but this is not a write-off for me, especially not in MMA where we've seen so many upsets. Anderson Silva, after seeing his performance against Patrick Cote, I wonder if he's buying his own hype. And I know he was ripped pretty hard, but still, he's facing a tough battle. It's going to be very interesting.
Well, I think what we've got is a story developing here the next year or so with more of the Brazilian jiu-jitsu guys in line for title shots. We hear so much talk out of Brazil about, hey, Anderson, when he's in the gym with a guy like Paulo Filho, and this is something that Anderson said and Filho said, that, Filho takes care of business. He can actually beat Anderson Silva because the submission game is so good. We take that to this fight where Chael Sonnen really got eaten alive by Damian Maia. And you know what, honestly, we can rip on Sonnen, and I know you said his finish against Crazy Paulo in the second fight, or the way he fought, wasn't that impressive, but he did beat him, and the first time around, I thought he was stymieing the guy. I thought he was beating him, and he got caught by a submission with a kind of a questionable tap, at least a verbal tap, on the armbar. So if you start comparing fights, if the Silva camp isn't lying and Paulo gives him that much trouble, then why would you think some of these other guys, especially at the level, this is a world champion level jiu-jitsu fighter in Damian Maia, so it'd be a hell of a matchup.
I don't want to harp on the Sonnen Filho too, but he did not beat Paulo Filho. Paulo Filho beat himself. I mean, anyone could have stood in there and gotten that victory. He did absolutely nothing to warrant a victory in that fight. But regardless, we'll move on. Again, Damian Maia is the truth. Unfortunately, it's going to be a while till he gets that title shot, now that I've kind of thought about it. I mean, Henderson facing Bisping, probably UFC 100 in July. You have to think if Bisping does pull out the victory there, that they're going to want to match him up against Anderson Silva if he does win a UFC 97. That'd be a huge fight over in the UK for them. So it's unfortunate, but I do think that he's probably going to have to win a couple more just to keep himself relevant at the top. Maybe have him face Yushin Okami, and then answer that question once and for all: who is the number one contender? At least in my little mind.
Right, and your mind is very little on this one because I completely disagree with you on Okami. We did our chat on Friday on CageWriter.com, and you had your rankings up there, and I have Okami down at like 8 or 9 in the world. Of course, I also had Rich Franklin in there, which by WAMA rules is illegal, but I still think Rich deserves to be ahead of Okami. Did they not fight?
By the way, just go to the WAMA website, GoWAMA.com, and see where everyone else puts Okami. He's number 2. They did fight, but other than that's his only loss in a string of many. So I'm not the only crazy one out there that hasn't pegged at number 2.
That's fine. That's fine. And no one said you're crazy. I just disagree with you.
No, you said I was crazy.
I said you had a little mind. I backed you up on your little mind.
Yeah, thank you.
That's Ariel Helwani. He's in New York, a blogger extraordinaire, longtime MMA journalist. I'm Steve Cofield. It's the Jewelers of Las Vegas post-fight show live here in Las Vegas and New York. Yahoo Sports. We got the stream up there, and also you can hear it locally here on ESPN Radio 1100. All right. Well, the other part of the discussion tonight, because the other fight was a good eliminator fight, a lot of hype around Wilson Gouveia. Looked pretty good in his first 185-pound fights. Tonight, though, I think Marquardt was the better fighter, the more skilled fighter, the more well-rounded fighter. And I got to tell you, the other part of the fight for me, and if you missed it, Marquardt got a finish at about the 3:10 mark in the third round after landing a big knee. He went in, and we'll describe the flurry here in a couple minutes because it was pretty amazing how he got the finish. But the other big factor, I think, again, Greg Jackson and his team completely destroyed the opposition in terms of a game plan.
Very impressive performance by Nate Marquardt. If you ask me, and I'd love to get your opinion on this, that was the fight of the night. I didn't get to see the Troy Mandalonis-Paul Kelly fight. That was the only one, but that was a much better fight than Sanchez-Stevenson. A lot of action. Gouveia, is not at the same level as Nate Marquardt. I questioned it going into this fight, and Marquardt proved that he is. I don't know if he's ready yet for that title shot again. Remember, he did lose to Thales Leites at UFC 85, and after that loss, we all question what's going to happen to Nate Marquardt. And he said to Joe Rogan after this victory that if he does get a shot at Anderson Silva, it will be like it's his first shot because he's a different fighter than the one that faced Anderson at UFC 73, which is almost like 2 years ago now. The way he dismantled Martin Kampmann was a thing of beauty, and tonight he just looked amazing. That ending, that flurry with the knees and the kicks and the rights and the spinning back fist and then the blood gushing from Gouveia's face. That was one of the best finishes that we'll see in a long time.
Yeah, let me see if I can describe the exact scenario. He starts out the troubles for Gouveia with a straight right, basically right on his schnoz, snaps his head back. Couple seconds go by, and he drills him with a flying knee, a right knee that looks like cut Gouveia over the left eye. He backs up to the cage, and you're right, as he's backing up, he throws a left kick to the body, followed by a left kick to the head. Then he throws a right head kick, which missed, but somehow, as he missed, he used a spinning back fist and kind of grazed him on that one, and then finally finished him with a slamming left knee right to Gouveia's face, and that was it. So, the athleticism on that, the versatility on that was damn impressive by Nate Marquardt, and he is a change fighter. To me, the biggest thing with Marquardt going into the next fight going into a potential fight down the road against Anderson Silva will be another one of these really good breakdown, game plan, masterpieces in getting ready for a fight against Silva. And the other thing is, I don't think he was confident. I think he really bought into the hype with Silva that first time around. I think it was at UFC 73. He just didn't look right walking into the cage.
Yeah, it was UFC 73, and that was the first time that he was really thrust into the main event. For the UFC, at least. He's done great things over in Japan. Perhaps he wasn't ready. I still think that there are a few guys ahead of him. It'd be interesting. I think he's one of the biggest, strongest 185ers, and I always believe that if you lose a title shot as the challenger, that you really don't deserve another shot if that same guy is holding the title. I just don't think you deserve it, and I'd be interested in maybe asking him if you ever speak to him, if we ever cross paths again, that. Would he ever consider going up to 205? Because that's a whole fresh landscape. I know his buddy Rashad Evans is the champion right now, but as long as Anderson Silva is the title holder, I just don't see him getting another shot. It doesn't happen often in the UFC where a guy loses a title shot and gets another one, a couple of years later, unless there's something weird that happens. So it'd be interesting because right now he's one of the biggest, baddest guys at 185.
Well, I think if he gets through someone like a Damian Maia, or maybe a Yushin Okami, then he moves that much closer.